Hi everybody, welcome back to the FIDA in Barcelona. This is theCUBE, our day 4 coverage of MWC 2024. I'm Dave Vellante with Bob Laliberte. Savannah Peterson is on her way over as well. John Furrier's not here, he's got FOMO. He's in LA, he just talked to him, he went to bed. Chris Niederman is here, friend of theCUBE, Managing Director of AWS Industries, Partners, Solutions. We're going to get into it. Chris is a longtime CUBE alum. It's great to see you again. CUBE newbie.
Absolutely.
Pierce Hofman, you're doing solutions at AWS. I want to dig into that. It's something that people always ask about. Like, what about from primitives to solutions? We're going to get into that as well. Gentlemen, welcome to theCUBE. How's it going in Barcelona?
Outstanding. We miss Furrier. He's got FOMO.
Yeah, big time.
We waved her to John. We love you, John. Miss you, but we got Dave, so it's okay.
So your second year here.
My second year here.
Yeah. My fourth. My first year here was during COVID. There was nobody here. It was like a ghost town, I'm not kidding. Not a ghost town now though, is it?
Well, now you brought 100,000 of your closest friends with you, so there's quite a few.
Your booth is packed. I mean, the hyperscalers are killing it, and AWS is the top hyperscaler, and
we're going to quote you on that.
So,
thank you for that.
Well, you are. It's documented.
You heard it here.
It's documented in my research, Chris. You know that, and I'm objective. So, what's the show been like for you guys?
It's been pretty amazing. Like, I was here last year. I want to hear from you about 4 years, but last year I actually was like, okay, Telco. I cover all industries, and I'm coming here and I'm thinking, I don't know anything about Telco. And what I found was fascinating is it wasn't about Telco, it was about every industry, and it was not just manufacturing and automotive, and like there were booths for everything, media entertainment, and I had no clue. I learned so much. And then I had heard this concept of Techco. Like, okay, and the telco, and a lot of telcos like, yeah, we're not a telco, we're a Techco. And I go, what does that mean? Like, we're innovative, we think big, we think differently. And I go, okay, well, how does that play out? And they give me a ton of examples in every single industry and how they want to extend beyond just the pipes, provide the data to the edge, do analytics and compute at the edge. And I'm like, that's really, really cool. And so I continue to see that theme this year as it's evolved. How about you? What are you seeing?
First time here, I wasn't prepared for just how big and impactful this conference was and the number of people here. So 100,000 of your friends are all here and like doing amazing things. It's really interesting seeing how the push of 5G to the edge is really bringing a lot of new opportunities out, and I'm really looking forward to understanding what the use cases that we're going to find and the customer problems we're going to be able to solve with that, especially as we start thinking about the extending of GenAI out to that edge as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's so much going on at this show. Like you said, that transformation to Techco, they really realized they've missed the transition to the cloud completely. Yeah. They don't want to miss the transition to AI. So they're really focused on how do we build solutions that enable us to take advantage of the infrastructure we built to help organizations, and across, like you said, across every industry, to be able to enable that AI, especially at the edge, right?
Yeah, and they shouldn't worry about missing out, right? Cloud's here, it's going to be here, it's going to keep evolving. And our job, we have partners and partnerships, our job is to help them catch up, innovate, continue, and learn. And I think that there's use cases we haven't even thought of yet that all these folks, all these booths around us, I've been having a ball running around going, wait, I didn't even think of that. And so, whether they think they missed out or not, the opportunity is still there to accelerate, and our job is to help those partners differentiate and accelerate.
So it was interesting listening to you say you kind of were new to telco. 4 years ago, I was new to telco, and it was during COVID. It was July of 2021, and Ericsson had, everybody tapped out of their space, but one company, a company called Telco DR, bought up 60,000 square feet in Hall 3. And this gal, Danielle, who runs Telco DR, DR is her name, her initials, she built Cloud City, 60,000 square feet. Her whole wrap was the telcos are slow, they're slow to move, they have fossilized infrastructure, they need to go to the cloud. So her company does BSS and OSS systems. On AWS, and I remember that year they had a big announcement, and I was talking to their CTO, use Graviton? He goes, oh yeah, we're just starting to use Graviton, and blah, 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 we're going to lower costs. Okay, that was 4 years ago. There was nobody here. There was like 10,000 people the whole week, and they were all in Cloud City. and theCUBE was in the middle of it all. And so that was the beginning of the telco transformation to the cloud. We were there, it was amazing. Now you fast forward 4 years, and it's accelerated in telco terms, right? You've seen it.
Yep.
You guys, your competitors, other hyperscalers are exploding. People are definitely moving the BSS and the OS systems to the cloud, and you're building solutions for telco. Now, I want to ask you, Pierce, because I remember talking to Jassy years ago about like, why is it you guys you give these primitives, and he said, we do it for a reason. It's deliberate. It gives us flexibility when the market changes. And I remember asking Matt, like, is it an either or? He goes, no, it's an and.
Yes.
So we're building on top of it. So explain that, because it's not really well understood.
Yeah, so historically, if you look at where AWS has really excelled, is we've excelled with the builders, and because we have the best primitives that can help them go do what it is they want to do. Whether it's build a custom solution for their business, or whether they want to go put together a very bespoke product that's unique to their customers. We'd focus, when we started the partner solution journey about 14 months ago, we'd focus on bringing all these partner solutions together and really understanding them. But what we heard from our customers as we were doing that was that it's great, we have all these individual partner solutions and we have great primitives within AWS, but our customers really wanted us to help them solve their business problems as defined by their value chains. So we worked with them and said, okay, what are your value chains? What are the strategic value chains that help us represent in an industry? And we define those, and then we've been working with our partners and with AWS to then put together solutions that answer the need of these value chains, and oftentimes span multiple AWS services and primitives, as well as many partner solutions, and bring these primitives together. And one of the things that we've found, and one of the reasons that I'm here this week, is that we found that it's really important that most of these value chains have telco components in them and have connectivity in them. And while we build solutions for our telco customers, we're also really partnering with our telco customers to take solutions to our joint customers to help solve their business problems.
Yeah, I think that's so important. That transition from just being connectivity in pipes to some type of a value add, right? Being able to help the telcos monetize that connectivity to deliver better outcomes to the business, and not just the pure connectivity, is going to be so important for them, right? They've been trying to figure out how they're going to monetize 5G, whether it's going to be fixed wireless access. Obviously, we're seeing that convergence really start to play out nicely for them with 5G and fixed wire, things like that at the edge,
right,
and AI moving to the edge, right? So a lot of the big models locked up in the hyperscalers and things like that, but the inferencing, there'll be a lot of opportunities for telecommunication companies to be able to deliver solutions that, again, deliver those outcomes, which is so critical for the businesses.
Yeah, and the edge is super critical. I mean, you think about it, and you can't do GenAI without data in the cloud.
Correct.
So let's get data in the cloud, and now if you want to you have the workloads at the edge, and let's say they're network intensive, high throughput workloads, well, you need to have 5G everywhere, and so you take a look at our two announcements this week with outposts for racks and outposts for servers that take those high network throughput, network intensive workloads and take them out to the edge, and so you have 5G everywhere, or radio access networks out at the edge, or anywhere. So we've taken 5G everywhere, and there's use cases for that, whether it's manufacturing, predictive maintenance and scheduling and calendaring and doing the compute at the edge, or others. But we've enabled this now that we know a few use cases. I think that we're going to see an explosion in use cases, but we've created a technology leveraging 5G that whatever we need in the future, and we don't know, right?
Right.
We're ready, and we've provided that technology. So we're building for breakthroughs. If you've come to our booth, you see the big theme, built for breakthroughs, and there's a number of areas. You mentioned BSS OS, so business optimization. We're building for business optimization. We're building for network modernization and migration.
Yep.
You need the pipes for that. You need to be able to compute at the edge, leveraging 5G. There's customer experience. We always start with the customer and work backwards, and you'll always see that with us. And then new growth areas that we haven't even thought of yet. Yeah. Whether it's IoT devices and managing those at the edge and figuring out how to better leverage those for compute of any task. There's so many examples we're thinking of, but come back here in a year, there's going to be a lot more we were like, wow, I didn't even think of that.
You mentioned working backwards. If I go back, Pierce, how long have you been with AWS?
Just about 6 years now.
Okay, so, and Chris, of course, you were there really from the beginning
11
of
years
the
now,
transformation.
a long time.
So when you go back to the sort of early cloud days, it was, the business case was so compelling. to move workloads into the cloud. People started to dial down their data center investments. And as you well know, working backwards from the customers, a lot of the workloads did stay on-prem. Even Andy and your guys, you talk about this all the time. I think you use 90%, 80%, whatever the number is. There's a lot of stuff that's still on-prem. And didn't go into the cloud for a variety of reasons. And so customers today are saying, we want to bring the AI to the data. The other interesting thing is, you've always said, again, Andy, we pay attention to him, in the fullness of time, everything's going to be in the cloud. And people misunderstand. They think, oh, that's going to go up in the sky somewhere. No, actually you're bringing the cloud to the data. That's what the Outposts announcement is. So, long-winded, but we're hearing from customers that they want to have an AI stack on-prem. For a variety of reasons, latency, they don't want to move the data, they want to control things, whatever it is. And that's what's happening. The problem is, they don't really have an AI stack. And so that's all in the cloud. So you guys are bringing that AI stack on-prem. That's a huge opportunity. I wonder if you could comment on that, what you're seeing, again, working backwards from the customer and what your partners are seeing.
Well, you think about why people come to AWS. First of all, it's because of our infrastructure, our services, and they initially come to the cloud when I joined 2014. It was like all about, how do I reduce costs and retire technical debt? And that conversation within minutes usually went to, okay, I get that, how do I innovate? And what do I do? And how do I differentiate myself if I'm a partner? But take that, the infrastructure, the services, all the benefits that our customers come to AWS for, and now you take that to wherever the workload resides. And so that's what we're saying is, do the work, be there, and run wherever the workload resides. You can have the standard AWS infrastructure and services that you've come to know and love. Yeah,
and modern infrastructure that they know and love.
Modern infrastructure.
Right? So it's really, and that's an upgrade, because you were talking about how long you've been here. First time I came to Mobile World Congress was in 2014. And at that time, telcos were just trying to figure out how to go from dedicated appliances to software. So when you look at that time span, we've come a long way in the evolution of the environment. And now, like I said, starting to adopt the cloud to be able to accelerate the modernization of their services and expand that not only from the OSS and BSS in the cloud, but also to the edge.
Absolutely.
So Pierce, bring that back to solutions. How do you, again, let's work backwards. How do you think about solutions that fit the need of the customer, which, a lot of these customers want custom solutions. How do you do it so that not every solution is a snowflake, so that you can actually scale, at AWS scale?
Yeah, well, I think the important part there is you got to start with that customer need and really understand what they're trying to accomplish. And one of the great things that we're seeing with some of the GenAI developer tools, Q for Builders, is that some of the customization is getting easier, but also even when people want to bring their particular primitives and components together, they still want guidance from us and guidance from our partners on what are the best options, what are the best APIs for me to use, what are the best, who can help in my country, in my industry do a specific area. So a lot of times, we may not be delivering a solution that is a one-click deploy in the marketplace. We do a lot of that, but that's not what all of our solutions are. A lot of them bring different components and primitives together and give our customers choice to bring the right pieces that meet their business need and let them achieve their unique outcomes.
I want to run something by you, kind of a little tangent here, but you saw the DeepSeek announcement. You saw the reaction from Wall Street. I was listening to one of the talking heads, it must have been CNBC, because we always have it on at the office, and this analyst was making the case that GenAI is, I'm laughing, is going to hurt the hyperscalers because it's going to reduce the need for infrastructure, kind of like the DeepSeek thing. And I was like, I don't really understand that. What are you seeing from customers?
I don't know about that. I'm seeing increased demand.
Right?
But the difference from a year ago is, while everybody was playing with it and trying it going, it was almost like, I know there's a value there, I got to figure out where it is. And now customers are being very focused, very purposeful, going, okay, I'm going to do a project, but unless there's a clear ROI or a benefit to my company, we're probably going to focus here, not there. And so we're seeing GenAI continues to add more and more use cases, but my mental model of how I think about the use cases has changed slightly. It used to be like, I have 61 use cases, prioritized use cases for auto and manufacturing. And at any given time, depending on where customers in their evolution, they might say, well, these are the 2 that I want to focus on, and we go on to these. And I used to think, okay, GenAI is going to add more use cases. I've changed my thought on that. I'm thinking that GenAI should be leveraged in every use case. Yep. And so there might be new use cases that come about as a result, but I'm having a hard time thinking of any single use case where you can't apply AI, you can't apply GenAI to provide some kind of benefits, and I think that's the change of thought as people are saying, I'm not looking for an incremental new thing, I'm going to look at what I'm doing and see how I can leverage GenAI to make it better, faster, and benefit my company more.
Yeah, and we do a lot of work in this area. We do a lot of surveys, we talk to a lot of customers, and it's just, the demand for compute, obviously, is through the roof. But you guys can't comment, but we've published on theCUBE research that compute is actually less than half of AWS's business now. Not a lot of people have talked about this. I think we're first, which says things like storage is exploding, data is exploding, all the other solutions that you guys are developing, and you're just getting started really in the solutions business. And so I don't see how GenAI is a headwind for the hyperscalers. We just published over $200 billion for the top 4 hyperscalers last year when you include Alibaba. It's growing at least 20% a year. That's massive. There's action on-prem. It's like there's action everywhere, everywhere you look. So I want to come back to your organization, Chris. When we first met, you were doing GSIs. You've now organized, extended that for the partners for telcos. Can you explain a little bit about how you're organizing and going to market?
When I joined in 2014, it was more or less, we were really small at the time, and there were a number of us who said, okay, here's what you're going to focus on. I had the GSIs, Oracle, VMware, SAP. It was kind of like, okay, let me cover this for now, and then we grew those businesses separately, and I ended up focusing on the GSIs for about 10 years and helping grow them. And what I think why I was asked to help build this particular team starting a year ago is because the GSIs are focused heavily on industries. That's the way they go to market, that's the way they build solutions, that's the way they think, and that's not anything new. They've been doing it for decades, some for over 100 years. You worked at Deloitte, they were around for
78 years.
78 years?
Yeah.
So, and we've been around AWS for 18, 19 years, and so we like the industry approach, we like that industry mental model, and so we've really dove deep into that. And it's not just our team, it's every part of AWS. It's marketing, it's professional services, it's training and enablement, it's the sales teams. We've always had those global account, industry-focused sales teams, now led by Catherine Renz for AWS Industries, and we're propagating that, we're permeating that through all the geos now. So Greg Pearson's teams that are in the geos there, they are grouped by industry with experts in industry. Our customers expect and demand industry expertise. And again, not new, but we're delivering that to them because that's what they're asking for. And who knows industries better than a GSI who's been doing it for over 100 years? And that's why I think the GSI business and consulting partners in general, I hate to just exclude others, but SIs in general that focus on industries, they are seeing an accelerated ramp in a nonlinear fashion in business with us as they bring their industry unique differentiated solutions to market.
And when I talk to the GSIs, what they're telling me is, you remember the whole BPO thing, this is like BPO on steroids, because they're completely rethinking everything, like even enterprise software, which is, you don't think of enterprise software as static, but compared to what's coming, it is. This kind of hard-coded processes that are linear. I source something, I add value to it, and I sell it for a profit. That linear value chain is getting blown away with agentic. We talk about agentic, I know it's a big buzzword, but the potential is there. If I have a strong data estate, I can harmonize that data. I can now reform workloads. Processes are malleable now, they're building blocks. You guys know a lot about builders. Yep. And now I'm rethinking my entire organization. I'm not just paving the cow path and getting 10% efficiency improvements, I'm getting 10x or 100x benefit from rethinking my entire organization. And that's what the GSIs are working on.
And being nimble and quick to be able to respond to things that maybe we don't even know are coming. And take COVID hits, right? You had Converge Health from Deloitte and had a very specific purpose to enhance the patient experience. COVID hits, It was not a use case that anybody had thought of at the time, but then they used it, and very quickly, in a matter of months, not years, were able to work and deliver the vaccine, come up with a solution, deliver the vaccine, and get it in the hands of the consumer far faster than we ever could before.
You know, this is a good point, because we've always been with analytics pretty good, at least always since the cloud data warehouse thing, pretty good at, well, what happened?
Yeah.
And where did it happen? And pretty okay at why did it happen. We've never been that good about what's going to happen next and what should we do next. And I think that is the future of really enterprise software, infrastructure, IaaS, PaaS, SaaS.
We're working with our partners to help them prepare today for whatever may come in the future. Right. And so we're enhancing the 5G experience. Do we know the use cases today? We've got a fair idea, but we're preparing for whatever may come. And you look at the platforms, and Pierce, you talked a lot about the strategic value chains and these platforms we're building. We're taking the primitives, putting together into packages that maybe provide 70, 80% of what a customer needs, and giving the flexibility to, well, let's add our secret sauce and move it this direction and much faster. Yeah,
I mean, the key with, especially with telcos, is they obviously need to be a lot more agile and flexible, but they also need the reliability, right? When you think about what their purview is, what they're delivering, and that's what's always held them back. It's been that balance of, you know, in enterprise, you might be security versus networking. We can have performance or we can have it secure, we can't have both. In telco, it's all about that reliability, that customer experience versus their agility. And so moving to the cloud, moving to Outpost, having that consistency across the cloud and at the edge is what's going to allow them to start accelerating and delivering more innovative services faster.
We're setting everybody up to have breakthroughs.
Yes.
That's our theme. Do we know what those breakthroughs are going to be? No, not necessarily. Some of them we do, but boy, we're creating a platform and services so that our partners and our customers can leverage what we're giving them to have breakthroughs that we haven't even thought of yet.
We, when you think about the last 10 or 15 years, we've learned a lot. The industry's learned a lot from Amazon, emulated a lot of what you do. The customer obsession, the whole working backwards concept, 2 pizza teams. I mean, there's no compression algorithm for experience. I mean, a lot of these
got them down.
A lot of these things that you guys have come up with have become sort of, it's like the NFL. It's like, hey, that's a good idea. Let's implement that and let's keep pushing forward. So, and of course, Chris, you're Mr. Culture. Pierce, you're 6 years in. Amazon has these leadership principles. That's the other thing. These are serious leadership principles. They're not just kind of mission statements and fluffy FUBAR. So when you started 6 years ago, I'm curious, the leadership principles, what they meant to you. Which ones were most important early on, and how? You're laughing. This is the test
my favorite subject. I love this subject.
Which ones were important early on? How did that evolve? Which ones are important to you today?
So I'll first start with the leadership principles. I was in consulting in my previous life, and I got to work with a lot of great companies around the world. And the thing that differentiates our leadership principles from like mission statements and what I've seen a lot in places is, it's not something we just do in the interview process, it's not something we just put on the internet, it's something that we live every day. And like meetings every single day, the leadership principles come up, and that's how we guide decisions, and that's how we can work across an organization that's the size of Amazon, and different with all of our disparate businesses that work together and have really productive and do new and exciting things that change the world. For me, like the most important one to me, and it's the first one as well, it was when I came to AWS, it still is today, is customer obsession. Because if we always focus on what our customers are doing and we understand their business, we can help them. And I'm in sales, but I don't particularly like selling to people, I like helping my customers. And if I'm making them successful, I don't have to sell them anything. It just makes it, like they'll just want more of what we're bringing them. So I always focus on customer obsession, and everything else follows from that.
Yeah, it is fascinating. I mean, whether Pierce knows it or not, when I hired him, he's a fit for the culture. And we hire a lot of people whether they know it or not. Like you can't come in an interview and go, I'm going to memorize the 16 leadership principles and I'm going to memorize an example for every one of them. It doesn't work, but you can tell when somebody's a natural fit or they're not. And I think that is, our culture is part of our strategic value proposition to our customers, to our partners. In fact, looking externally, I've sat down with partners, and the best relationships we have are when the culture doesn't need to be exact, but it's kind of a match of some kind. I sat down with McKinsey years ago. We talk about customer obsession. They said, oh wait, we're client focused. We're client obsessed. So we may not use the same words, but then we write down the list, And our cultural values and principles aligned very well, and that set the stage for the partnership and how the conversations we could have. And so, I'll give you an example. We're in a discussion with McKinsey or Accenture or whomever, and we all of a sudden get off track. And generally it's because you've lost sight of the customer. Somebody in the meeting stops us and goes, hold it. We're talking about things that are not relevant to what we, stop, reset, focus on the customers that we want to serve and help, and the conversation's back on track again. It keeps us grounded in everything we do. And the beautiful thing is you can go anywhere in the world, fulfillment centers, Amazon offices, AWS, and everybody speaks the same language, not because they have to, but because it's just a natural for them.
Right.
All right, guys, hey, I'm sorry, we got to go. We kept you way too long. It's great, I'm glad we got that in, though.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Thanks for doing that. You know I love that
Yeah, I
topic.
know you
Thank
do.
you.
Chris
Enjoy the rest of the
and
show.
Pierce, Really
Thank you
appreciate
so
it.
much,
Good,
really
yeah.
appreciate
We'll
it.
see you here next year, I hope.
Alrighty.
All right, keep it right there. Dave Vellante for Bob Laliberte. Savannah Peterson's also in the house. You're watching theCUBE's continuous coverage. This is day 4, MWC 2025 from Barcelona. I'll be right back.